P3D students. It is now time for our first project, and I'm going to introduce it just a little bit in this video. So the name of this project is called Story Under Construction, and you will be studying Red Grooms, and he makes a lot of work about what it's like to live an urban life or live in the city. His pieces are very colorful. His figures are very whimsical and creative, and I will show you some of his work in just a second. He uses a lot of layers and he plays around with perspective, even though he makes three-dimensional work, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. And he makes scenes that tell a story. So you are going to make a scene that tells a story for your first project. When you are looking through the research packet in the step 4, where it talks about process, it's going to be all about clay. If you want to incorporate other mediums such as wood or wire, then feel free to kind of ignore some of what step 4 says, but if you're working in clay, then it's a good refresher to read that. So let's look at Red Groom's work. One of the things that I find so exciting about him is that his work is actually in the Brooks Art Museum. And so you can actually see his work in person. And there is a picture of him with one of his pieces. So here it is. You know, both of these are great examples of the plane with perspective. So he's got these flat figures that look like they're cut out of some kind of mat board. But then he also makes three-dimensional shapes. So like that's a three-dimensional bus. You can kind of see some of it in the left over there, but then you've got like flat people inside of it, drawings on the bus. So this guy really does a great job of kind of marrying 2D design with 3D design. And there's a picture of him right there. Here's some more of his pieces. And as you can see, this is a, you know, kind of like a bus car or a subway car. And that is life size. I believe it's actually a real subway car on the outside that he gutted and then filled with all these sculptures. You've got this really awesome basketball player where the basketball player is very three-dimensional. But then behind him, you have these cutouts of all these drawings and paintings. And then the picture in the middle is like much bigger than life size. It's huge. And it's this huge sculpture. All right, so I wanted to show you a couple other examples of ways that you could interpret this assignment. So his work always seems to tell a story. All of these paintings and drawings that are on the slideshow also show a story or narrative. So just make sure that whatever you choose to do clearly shows that there is narrative or story. The Story Under Construction project. So I wanted to make sure you understand exactly how this handout works because you will be receiving several handouts like this. Apparently my puppy wants to be in the video. Quinn, can you get down? Get down. All right, so obviously I'm recording this at home and I'm gonna walk you through exactly how this handout works. All right, so it's going to be divided into steps, and the due date for this is September 4th, I believe, whichever day Thursday is, at the end of the day Thursday. So always write the due date because it kind of fluctuates in AP. So you've got your step 1, which is research. And so for each project, you're going to need to conduct research. So for this project, since it is an assigned project, you have very detailed things that I want you to do to research. So you're going to go to Google and look for images by this artist, Red Grooms, that you like. You're going to Google the artist and write a little bit about him. And then you're going to print out the pictures from Red Grooms and paste them in your sketchbook. Now in the classroom, what you would end up doing is I would print them for you. They just wouldn't be in color. And you can either email them to me or figure out a way to share them on Schoology. I'm trying to figure out that feature. And once I get that worked out, it will be a little bit more seamless, but you'll share those images with me if you want me to print them. and then you will paste them in your sketchbook. If you want to go ahead and paste them, go ahead and write the information in your sketchbook and then paste the pictures later when you get them. That is totally fine. Just leave space for the pictures to go. There is the rubric. So if you want to know in detail how it's going to be graded, go for it, read all that information. All right, so this part of the project is worth 10 points of your overall score. Usually in the classroom, you would bring this to me. What I would like you to do is just post pictures of your sketchbook or whatever page you're doing this work on, but sketchbook is where I recommend. That way it's all in the same spot and you can find it. And then I will give you, your score from 1 to 10 for that section. Then for this next thing, check your sources, talk with another student, and make sure that your sources make sense, and then move on to step 2. So step 2 are your sketches. You're going to do 4 thumbnail sketches for this project, but read it because it varies from project to project. Then you're going to make a 1-page sketch of one of those ideas. So if you need to kind of label your sketch so that it makes sense, that is fine. And then actually color this sketch. So I'm actually going to give you 10 points for how creative, up to 10 points for how creative your thumbnail images are, and then 10 points for your full page colored sketch. The third part of this process will be experimentation. So make a small piece. If you are using clay, do it out of clay. If you are using other materials, you can do it out of other materials. You can also do something like paper, but like a small maquette is what it's called. All right, and then I will give you up to 10 points for that portion of the planning process. All right, then step 4 would be to create your final piece. And then do basically the same thing. It says that I will provide the slab for you. I just make y'all make them. We don't have a slab roller. And if we did, I would teach you how to use it. But anyways. And then this one says make it on cardboard. That is optional. If you want to use cardboard, paper, masking tape, wire, like whatever kind of material that is 3-dimensional. You're an AP, so you get to be creative. All right, once you turn in the project, keep in mind that that project is going to be an additional grade in and of itself. So make sure you put in all the effort. It's worth more than 10 points. Then you're going to turn in your unfinished, clay piece. If you are doing other things other than just clay, then you would prepare those things at this point. So if you need to use pieces of wire, if they need to be cut or bent, to go ahead and do so. If you're using pieces of wood that need to be carved, cut, or sanded, you need to go ahead and do so. If you're painting something, go ahead and start painting it. So this is the reason that me and Miss James teach y'all to be kind of independent, because when you get to this point, everyone has the freedom to do so much stuff. There's no way that I can actually keep track of like, hey, are you painting your thing like you're supposed to? So you really need to have a good solid plan and be able to kind of prioritize tasks. And while you're waiting on something like your clay to get fired, you can be working on the next thing. So get used to working on several projects at the same time. That is different. You get a little taste of that in ceramics where you have like wet pieces and pieces that you're trying to glaze. But this is a little bit more involved. Okay, then after you have done everything that you can physically do before your piece is fired, then you're going to move on to step 5. So step 5 is journaling. So what you're going to do is in your sketchbook, my puppy is begging for me to pet her. And so for the journaling section, you're going to do that in your sketchbook as well. And I don't know why the formatting is messed up on this, but anyways, I'm sure you can figure it out. And then you get up to 10 points for your journaling. Then you turn it in. When you turn in your project, make sure that on your wet clay you carve into it, but please put your name on your work. I would like your name, the title, and the date you completed it. If it won't fit on the clay pieces, like all of that information, then at least give me a piece of paper kind of taped to your stuff so I know what it is. I have that project table kind of catty corner to my desk, so we're going to set all our projects on that table when you turn them in instead of putting them in the kiln room. That way I can look them over before they get put in the kiln room. Then you're going to fill out the 3D design checklist, which will also be attached to the same post on Schoology. It's pretty self-explanatory, where you just fill out the information of what your finished piece is going to be like, and then check off the elements of art and principles of design and things from the AP rubric that you used. We're going to keep these in our sketchbook, so you can actually go ahead and glue this in your sketchbook before I grade it. You just have to be on this video, don't you? All right, come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Say hey. You don't want to say hey? No? You just want to give me kisses? All right. And now you're angry. Okay. So then you're going to fill out that checklist, glue it in your sketchbook, complete this packet, and turn in everything with your sketchbook. And I feel like it is most effective if you can take pictures of what is in your sketchbook and then post it to Schoology, and then turn in the physical packet to me. And we might have to kind of edit that a little bit for those of you who are at home all the time. But just do your best to turn in all the paperwork on time and turn in your project on time, at least, to get fired. If you can turn in things early, that is perfectly fine. That actually is good.